What if I tell you I created this entire UI using just HTML, CSS and JavaScript? Well, let's see how. The basic idea was to design an interface that presents all my calendar events as tickets stacked on top of each other. Now when I click on any ticket, the stack moves to the left and the ticket opens up as a card to the right. I'll think about an easy way to accept or decline the event and show details like dates, type, event ID, QR code, etc. It's now time to build mockups, but before that, some inspiration. I wanted the container to have a leather finish and the individual cards to resemble actual tickets. This kind of design is called skeuomorphic design, where elements represent real-life objects. Let's start by creating a container and a header section. This will contain our carbon leather texture. If you look closely, a realistic texture usually has perforations, light and dark shadows at the top and bottom, and a dashed line at the bottom to give it a stitched effect. Let's use repeating radial gradients for the perforations. We first add black dots and then add grey dots below the black ones. That gives the illusion of shadows. Next, for the stitched thread effect, we cannot use a dashed line stroke, as the line width and gaps aren't configurable. Let's use an SVG instead, with a line element, having a stroke dash array with a length of 10 pixel and a gap of 15. I've created a custom SVG filter that gives the line a thread-like effect. Finally, we add a light linear gradient at the top, keep the center part grey, and add a dark gradient towards the bottom. This gives the texture a realistic look. Now let's create the ticket container. The header section again has a carbon leather texture. This time it's brown. It took me a while to get all the colors right. Time to add tickets. Let's quickly create the basic layout with a header for the icon, a body that contains the ticket details, the event type, and the date of the event. Now of course, just adding the HTML makes it look like this. Let's make the ticket a flex container, add some margin, border, and define its height. I'll add a slightly bright background color and a box shadow to make it stand out. I've done some simple styling on the other divs to make it look like the ticket image. For the icon, I'll add an image tag with the SVG. Let's change the font to Babus New. Now we need to add this ticket programmatically. I have defined a function createTicket that accepts arguments like event type, title, and date time. It essentially creates a new div element based on this data and inserts it in the card body. Since we have different configurations for different event types, I've created a mapping constant that has the icon file, name, and background color for specific event types. Upon clicking the ticket, it should animate and move to the right and open up as an expanded ticket. I'll rename card body to card container and make it a flex to contain both the ticket list and the expanded ticket. I've added a click event listener that adds the click ticket as a child. Also, clicking any other ticket should essentially put the active ticket back to the list. This works good for now. Let's add some animation to this. I've created two transitional states, ticket intermediate and ticket revert, which moves the ticket to the right and left respectively. By the way, I've used hard-coded values since I was too lazy to make it responsive. Upon clicking the ticket, we add the ticket intermediate class and the ticket revert class for the old ticket. Finally, on transition end, if the ticket was intermediate, we expand it, and if it was revert, we assign it the base ticket class. This is a bit weird. The new ticket should go to the top and the old ticket should go to the bottom. I've added the style top -8 pixels, which is the margin of the ticket, and the old ticket goes at the bottom of the ticket list -246 pixels to exactly match the last ticket position. Our UI is taking shape now. Now I've created a mockup for the expanded ticket. Let's quickly add this to our code. Let's add the necessary divs and style them. The UI contains a lot of borders, margins and paddings, but it looks quite accurate. For the zebra pattern, I've used a repeating gradient. And for the QR code, I've added an image tag which requests the QR server API for a QR code with ticket details passed in the data query params. Let's add this ticket programmatically. I've created two functions, render details and render basic ticket, which change the inner HTML of the parent ticket class based on whether the expanded ticket is to be shown or the basic one. Also, since the expanded ticket contains some more information, let's accept that as arguments while creating the ticket itself and store it in an all data variable. Finally, I want to add the ability to accept or decline an event by tearing the bottom part from the respective side. I've added a mouse down event listener on the accept decline badge, which stores the name of the clicked element. On the tear container mouse move, we first check which batch was clicked. We then move the anchor point of the container using transform origin and rotate it along the z-axis based on how much the mouse has moved. When the rotation goes beyond a threshold, I append a class that animates and gives it a paper falling effect. Lastly, we remove the container from the DOM and add a heading instead. This looks cool, but since we don't persist the state, the ticket renders as it is the next time it loads. To persist this state, I'll store a random value as the ID of the ticket and create a global object that stores the ticket ID mapped to its state. Once a ticket is accepted or declined, the value is stored in the global object and rendered conditionally. With this step, our UI is complete. Now to add new tickets, I can use the APIs of my calendar, notes, and reminder apps to pull the data and create new tickets. But let's do that some other time. Anyway, there it is. A skeuomorphic ticketing interface built entirely using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Until the next one, this is Compile0 signing out.